what is going down? It is Dealership Digest. We're here for another one. Another one. Today we're talking about setting the appointment with your customer and why that's appointment, right? Because if we don't, or why that's important. Because if we don't get the appointment, say that 10 times fast, important, appointment. If we don't get the appointment, then we can never close a deal. I mean, sometimes we can do deals over the phone and things like that, but even your customer allowing you to go through an over the phone deal is still setting an appointment. So we got to know how to set the appointment.
Yeah, and with different technologies and all kinds of stuff out nowadays, it's easier, I want to say, to have like different platforms where you can set more appointments. It's just learning these platforms and how to utilize them that seems to be one of the tough areas for salespeople.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's always kind of tough to set the appointment with your customer. A lot of them are so go, go, go. You know, some of them put an internet lead in today and say they don't want to come in, or they were just looking, or they're just researching, things like that. So, sometimes it gets hard. But, the first thing you have to understand to be able to set the appointment is you got to know your customers. You got to know your market, right? You got to know what they're looking for, what to say to them, what not to say to them to get them to set that appointment with you, right? Because every customer base is a little bit different. We all have to speak to our boat buyers maybe a little different than we speak to our car buyers, maybe a little different than we speak to our RV buyers. But the whole sales process and principles still kind of remain the same, right?
Yeah, and I definitely think doing research on your customer is going to benefit you always. So finding out find out what blogs they're reading, what podcasts they're listening to, even what documentaries they're watching always helps because as the more you get into the mind of your customer, the better you're going to be because you know how they think, you know how they talk. Like you said, you're not going to sell the same to a Toyota customer as you are a BMW customer. It's just not going to be there. So the more you can get into that groove and understand them and meet them on the same playing field, the better you're going to be.
Yeah, no, I can't disagree with that. And you know, excuse me. One thing about setting the appointment, I think, and going to those blogs, going to those Facebook pages, going to those places where your market is getting those customer leads, right? Getting in front of enough customers that care about your product, your service, your boat, motorcycle, whatever you're selling, get enough people's eyeballs that care about that want to come take a look at your products, right? Because the facts are, if I have 100 people that come in the internet lead this month, call it just for easy math, we get 100 internet leads. I'm gonna only be able to set the appointment with a certain percentage of them. Say it's 20%, I get 20 appointments. My sales numbers are, whatever they are at the end of the month, right? If I'm able to get 1,000 customer leads and set 20 appointments, well, that's 200 appointments that were set, and my sales numbers are going to look a lot better than if I set the 20 appointments at the 100 customer leads, right? So a lot of that stuff ties together, and I think that goes into knowing your market, right? Knowing where your customers are, knowing where they're shopping, knowing where they're looking, so that you can capture their attention and set the appointment so that they're willing to go through a sales process at your dealership with your salespeople.
And if you're managing the dealership and you're managing that marketing budget, then you can direct those marketing dollars into those arenas. So, that customer is seeing you. You're popping up all the time. So when they think of buying a boat or an RV or, an ATV, they're thinking of ABC dealership because, they've seen you all over. They've gotten good information from you. They've been entertained by you. And then they trust you because that's just how it goes. They start seeing you online. They read your good
Yeah.
reviews. They see referrals. Happy customers. You're just building that brand. You're building that trust, and then they're going to go to you in the long run.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's, one of the most important things with setting the appointment is grabbing your customer's attention. If we don't have the attention of our customer, we're never going to set the appointment with them, you know? If we're that product, if we're that service, if we're that dealership that gives the greatest customer service you could possibly give, right? Our salespeople are the best. They provide the customers with the best. They give them the best vehicles at the best prices. They never screw anybody over, but nobody hears about them. They're from a small local, community that 100 people live in, and the 5 people hear about it because, they don't have any outreach to their customer. Only their little town knows about them, right? It's going to be hard to set the appointment if I don't have attention of a big marketplace, right? So I have to be making sure, like you said, paying attention to those areas that I need to be at, marketing to those areas, being in those groups, on those blogs. Maybe they're on YouTube, maybe they're on Facebook, Facebook Live, wherever your customers are. We got to make sure that we're grabbing their attention, because if we're not grabbing their attention, if we don't understand our customer, if we don't understand our market, and we don't understand where they are looking for our products, then we're never going to be able to grab their attention to set the appointment so that we can take them through the sales process and close the deal.
And then, like you said, I'm putting pieces of content out there and, bait essentially. You're going to add a call to action, and then it's going to make it easier to set the appointment anyway, So I think that's something that dealerships definitely need to be looking into, is making sure that whatever they put out, one, appeals to their target audience, and then two, has a call to action. No matter, what that is, whether that's giving your email address, whether that's booking an appointment, whether it's entering a contest, you still want some type of reward for your efforts. So definitely make sure to add the call to action, I guess is what I'm advising.
Yeah, yeah. When you add that call to action, I think you need to be asking for name, email, phone number, right? Because you need an email, you need a phone number to be able to follow up with your customers to try to set the appointment. So if I'm able to, if my call to action says, hey, put your name in, I don't require a phone number and an email. Well, now they get my lead, they, figure out the price of my product. They generate a lead, but now all I have is as a name, Chris Paulino. I don't know how to reach this guy. I don't know how to call him. I can't email him. So it's a pointless lead, right? We need a way to follow up, a way to reach out to that customer, and then a way to get them to set the appointment, right? So, the way I think you need to set the appointment is you need to be actively asking. I call businesses, not even just dealerships, all the time, and their customer or their sales reps, their customer service reps, whatever you want to call them, will answer the phone and they'll answer all your questions. And then when you say something like, "Oh, I was just calling today to get some information. I'll come in if I want to buy it. Thanks." They'll say, "Okay, I'll talk to you soon. Bye." You know what I mean? They'll just let you off the phone, right? That could have been an appointment. I think a lot of times at dealerships, what happens is they have a receptionist answering the phone who's not privy to sales, right? And receptionists, they just answer the phone and direct phone calls, right? So when a person calls a dealership ready to buy, and they get the phone answered by a receptionist who maybe turns them off a little bit, or who doesn't send them to the right person, or they have to wait on hold for 5 minutes because whatever the case is, that can be a turnoff to the customer, and they won't want to set the appointment with you. So, I think, me personally, I've always liked it in the dealerships that I've been at where salesmen answer the phone. We are the ones that answer the phone, and if it was a customer, we took them right there on the spot, and if it was somebody for service or elsewhere, we would direct them to where they needed to be. And I like that approach because it doesn't give you that friction point of a receptionist. Not saying receptions aren't needed, they're nice, so on and so forth. But what I'm saying is when you get rid of that friction point and get them straight to the salespeople, it's easier for your salespeople to set that appointment and say, customer calls in, "Oh, we were looking at your product online and wanted to come in and take a look." "Oh, great. When can you come in today? 3 or 4 o'clock?" Right? Much easier than, "Hey, this is XYZ dealership. How can I help you?" "Oh, we wanted to come in and take a look at this." "Oh, well, I got to get you over to a salesman. Let me send you over to a salesman." And then boom, on the salesman. Now I'm on a hold music. Do, 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 do. Right? I'm just sitting here playing with my phone, looking at other dealerships, and I'm waiting too long. I'm calling this one. Right? Instead, I could just send them straight to a salesman, and at a dealership, I'll tell you what. It is it is a art in itself to answer the phone faster than every other salesperson at a dealership. Bet you. Bet you it is because when you hear that page come over the speakers and it's hey, sales on line 1, boom, I'm so quick at that thing. You are not getting on that line quicker than me. I promise you that. So fast. And that's the thing is that receptionists don't want to answer that phone call that quick. They don't want that. The salesmen are hungry. They want that commission. They want to help a customer. Right? Receptionists, they don't care. They get paid 10, 15 bucks an hour, whatever it is, to sit there and direct phone calls. They don't care if that customer hangs up or not. I mean, if you have a good receptionist, they care, but how many of them are good? I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. And I think a lot of that too with the internet department, if you have that friction point like you said where it's okay, I'm going to do all this work for you, and then when you get to the dealership I'm going to pass you to a salesperson. It just, it creates friction. So what I've learned just from doing like BDC for car dealerships and RV dealerships is that the sooner you can get the salesperson involved, the better, and the more you make your word tracks or like your communication in the chat or Facebook Marketplace, wherever you are, directed towards getting the contact information, like you said, the phone number and all that, to have the salesperson call them, the better. I've had, a higher percentage of appointments booked from doing that rather than, okay, let me do all the work for you. And then, tomorrow I'm going to have Jeff call you. And then Jeff is going to, have to be updated on everything that's going on, even if I leave him notes or even if he has his own sales process. So it just creates that friction point. I definitely want to point that out since you were talking about the reception one. It's something that I want to hit on.
Yeah. No, I can't agree with that more because at the end of the day, a customer doesn't want to be asked who, when, where, and why by multiple people. We've all heard about the game telephone, and when you get all this information from the customer and try to pass it to the salesman, they're still going to ask all those questions because they're not going to read your notes. They're not going to understand them. Maybe you missed a couple things in the notes. So then they're going to take the customer through the same thing. Then they're going to be sitting there thinking like, wait a minute, I just told Tia all this stuff. I thought I was coming here to look at a vehicle, to be ready to roll, to test drive and be out of here quickly. And now it feels like I'm going all the way through the process, all the way over, like all back over again. Why did I even talk to Tia? Right? Well, what was the point of that?
Yeah, waste of my time. Why'd I do that?
Yeah. Right.
It reminds me of like
So I
being at
think,
a doctor's office when they have like multiple like people come in and ask you the same exact questions, and then by the end of the appointment you're so annoyed, like I don't even want to come back here. I'm done.
No, to me, that's funny you say that because I'm sitting there thinking like, wait a minute, what are you guys doing with this information? Where's this stuff going? Am I telling you this information so that you can just walk out of the room, not type it in anywhere, not put it anywhere? Like how? Like it doesn't make sense to me. Why do I need to answer the same questions for everybody? Shouldn't there be a process? Do you guys track this? Isn't that like what? Isn't that what doctors do? They take data, they track it, they look at the data, and then they analyze it and say that they're getting better or worse, or this is what we should do. You guys don't even write the data down. You just have 15 people ask me, and 15 people have a different opinion on what I need. It's scary.
So immediately your confidence in the doctor is gone. So the same thing's going to happen with the salesperson. It's gone. Like you wasted my time. This was pointless, and I'm going to go elsewhere where they value my time, pretty much.
Yeah. So, that's a good point. I think, the way to set an appointment, whether you're in BDC, whether you're a receptionist, I think it depends on where you're at in the sales process, right? Because, like you said, if you're in the BDC side, reception side, your main job is to set the appointment or to get the information for the salesperson. And as soon as you can turn that over to the salesperson and get that hot lead to the salesperson who's going to take them from A to Z, the better it is, right? So we have to make sure that if we're in our BDC departments, if we're a receptionist, if we're someone that's passing along to a salesperson, that we don't get too wrapped up in the process and do more than we need to. We need to just focus and get really good at setting the appointment and focus all of our energies on setting the appointment because then once we set the appointment with our sales team, they're going to be able to close them and take them from A to Z and create a happy customer and get a review and kind of do all those things that we've talked about in the Sell More, Live More sales process.
Yeah, and something that I do with my RV BDC customers is I try to, get their contact information and then tell them my partner will be calling them with the answers to their questions later on or ASAP, And I think that's something that's huge.
Yeah.
And not, some dealerships are catching on to that, but others are expecting the internet salesperson to basically do the deal over the phone and online and stuff. And I just don't think that's very, I don't think that's a good use of your time, and I don't think it's very successful, at least in my experience, in my opinion.
Yeah, honestly, I think if you're gonna run that way as a dealership, I think you might as well turn your BDC department into salespeople and have them just take the leads that they talk through A to Z, right? Why let's not pass them on. Let's just call it what it is. We don't have a BDC department. We have 40 salespeople, right? Which is okay. I actually like that way. I like that idea, me personally. But nonetheless, BDC departments are good too, because some of the one bad thing about having all your salespeople field the calls and that stuff is you're wasting some of their time. So if they are talking to someone that should have been filtered out through a BDC department, then you don't have an active salesperson in a deal during that time. You have them, doing things that a BDC department could have done, right?
Plus, they can handle the follow-up and set appointments that way. Work on those 45-day and older leads. You can have them focus on that because salespeople are busy.
Yeah.
They want those hot and warm leads, and then, other than that, they're not going to spend too much time, taking over. And
that's a good point.
Yeah.
So what do you do after you set the appointment, right? We set the appointment with, say we're in our BDC department, we get the contact info, we turn it over to our salesperson. What are we doing next?
I think the main thing after you set the appointment is, something I've learned the hard way is you need to follow up with that customer. They're not for sure coming in just because you set that first appointment. You need to be like, oh, hey, Johnny, I see that we have an appointment for you today at 2 p.m. Just want to make sure that you were coming in. Want to see if I could get anything ready for you and, ahead of the game type deal. Because I've noticed when I don't do that, the people more likely are just going to forget or, because things come up or, they're busy and then life happens. Exactly. So then it wastes my time, the salesperson's time, and then it just falls apart. So I would suggest right after you, set the appointment, you want to make sure that you're following up with them before the appointment and confirming that they're going to come in and even reminding them, like send a nice little email, voicemail, text, whatever.
Yeah. No, I agree. We always say that, right? The riches are in the follow-up, right? You got to be able to follow up with these customers, make sure they're coming in. Like you said, someone's going to say they're coming in today at 4 p.m. 4 p.m. rolls around, they don't come in. You're going to call them back. They're going to say, oh, man, honestly, I forgot. My little Sally got hurt at the soccer game, and I had to go take care of that. Can we reschedule? If you don't follow up and reschedule that appointment, they might just never call you back and never come to another appointment, and you miss out on that hot lead, that hot customer, right? So like you said, we got to make sure we follow up, because if we're not following up, we're going to be missing out on those customers, on those leads. We're going to be missing out on setting the appointment with those customers. And again, we can't close a deal without setting an appointment.
And also, it shows that you care. Back to what we were talking about before, it shows that you're really trying to be there for them and, build that relationship and that rapport. And I think that's awesome. And also, it gives you the okay to get things ready. Like, for example, if it's snowing, you can go brush off the snow of the car, make it look real nice, or, make sure the RV smells great, that type of thing before they come in.
Yeah,
exactly. So, hey, while you're out there at your dealerships, make sure you're setting the appointment with your customers, because that's the only way you're going to close the deal. This is Dealership Digest. Tia and I will be talking about how to close more deals at your dealership weekly, monthly, yearly. So keep tuning in to Dealership Digest so you can keep learning more. See you on the next one.
Bye.
Thank you for watching Dealership Digest, presented by IMR.
To see more episodes, subscribe to our YouTube channel or like our Facebook page.
And if you need digital training for your dealership, then visit us online at imr.training.
Or infiniteMediaResources.com.